Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspatana Shrunvannotibhisida Sadhanam Shri Mahaganadipataye Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Dear friends, today we will be starting this 15th Adhyaya. Last class we completed the 14th Adhyaya along with a summary and all that. This 15th Adhyaya is in continuation of that. This is probably the smallest chapter. It is the smallest chapter because it has only about 20 verses. Earlier we have seen the last chapter 27, that was also a small chapter. This is the smallest in Gita, only 20 shlokas. So probably that is why this chapter is usually recited before we commence our lunch. Have you seen it? In traditional, if you go to some ashrams and places like that, where people they sit for a traditional meal, there they start reciting this Adhyaya. So this 15th Adhyaya is compulsorily recited in many Gurukulams also. In many Gurukulams this is recited. More orthodox people, of course, they do recite that Trisuparna mantra. Trisuparna, that is more orthodox Vedic schools and Veda schools and all that. But slightly below that, you can't say below, so the schools which give say preference to Vedanta, so they do recite this 15th Adhyaya. 15th Adhyaya, and then because this is the Adhyaya which is supposed to summarize the meaning of the Gita. So this Adhyaya talks about, this is a name. The name, if we see, it is called Purushottama Yoga. It is otherwise called Purushottama Prapti Yoga also. Purushottama, if we see these words, what is this Purushottama? Purusha, we have come across this word Purusha. Purushete iti Purushaha. That consciousness which is the indwelling spirit in every being, starting from an ant to a dinosaur, that is that indwelling spirit. So not spirit, that indwelling consciousness. So that is what is that Purusha, that which is impelling all say beings. Then Purushottama, then which means that Uttama means superior. Uttama is something which is superior. What is that superior thing? So when you have 2 or 3 things, then you have to consider one thing as okay, another thing as better, and another thing as Uttama. Uttama is the superlative, isn't it? So that is the highest. So what are these 3 things? So we have been seeing that at a very, very small level, we have at a Vyashti level, we have been seeing that Jiva, Antahkaranavachinna Chaitanyam Jiva. Then at a higher level, Samashti level, we have been seeing, and what is that Maya Vachinnam Chaitanyam Ishvaraha, who is supposed to be the Jagat Karanam, etc., 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 but he is also a Parichanna. He is also a delimited, he or she or it, whatever it is that Chaitanya Tattvam, it is a delimited thing. Then these 2 things are actually, they are having something else as their substratum. Something else is the substratum for these 2 things, that is Jiva and Ishvara. And what is that supreme thing? So that supreme thing is the Purushottama which is talked about here. So that is the basic structure, that is the basic point in this say Adhyaya. And if we see the structure of this shloka, of this chapter, and say the purpose, of course, the purpose of this chapter is according to Shankaracharya and to other commentators, the purpose of this chapter is to create Vairagya in the mind of the seeker. Because this is all sadhana shatka. In this sadhana shatka, they are also supposed to tell us the means. They are supposed to create that intellectual ambience which will lead us to Vairagya, and then which will through that Vairagya to Jnana. So that sort of ambience has to be created. So that is why there is a description of this samsara, the whole creation, this samsara, as samsara, of course, not only creation, this samsaranam, this transmigration, the whole scheme of samsara, as you call it, and including, you can also include creation as a whole. Creation as a whole means all the beings in the creation as a whole. So this thing is described as a sort of a tree which is upside down. This metaphor we have seen in Kathopanishad. We have completed Kathopanishad. There we have seen Urdhvamulo Vakshakaha Yeshoshvattha Sanatanaha. That is what we saw in say Kathopanishad. The same thing is here mentioned here. Urdhvamulam Adhashakam Ashwatham Prahuravyayam. So that is how it starts. So this samsara is compared to a vriksha, and then how that vriksha appears, and then what is the root of that vriksha, and then what is the trunk, what are the branches, what are the leaves, what are the fruits, what are the flowers, say all these things, and then what are all different branches, so many different branches of this tree, etc., etc. All the description is given in the first first three verses. Then Lord Krishna says, one has to go beyond this tree. This tree is only an appearance. You have to know that this tree is not ultimate. This tree you have to wreck it, you have to break. Vriksha, the very meaning of vriksha is vrashyanad vriksha. Vrashyanam means, the English, probably the closest word to in English seems to be wreck, W-R-E-C-K, wreck, and vrashyanam appear to be related words anyway. So that wrecking, that is breaking the tree has to be broken, the tree has to be destroyed. And how is that tree to be destroyed? That is, destruction is only by this word called Jnana. We have seen that this samsara is compared to, there are so many metaphors to describe this samsara. So one metaphor is tree, and we have seen earlier samsara is compared to an ocean, and that ocean has to be crossed over by this nava or this boat called Bhakti, or some other Jnana, or some other say boat, whatever it is. Then the samsara is also compared to a very, very dense forest, Ghoratavi, a very fearful, say, Atavi. Atavi means a very, very, very deadly African jungle type of thing. So that sort of thing, that is another comparison. It is also compared to Mahakupa, a great girth, something like, say, that valley, a huge valley. So all these things, samsara ghoram ati kupam agadha moolam ati great kupam, it's a great well, it's a great valley. So that is what say, there are so many say metaphors in order to describe samsara depending on the situation. But here the nature of that samsara has to be given to us. So that is why Lord Krishna is giving this say metaphor of tree. Of course, when you are comparing it to a ocean, you are describing the difficulties. When you are comparing it to a very dangerous, dense jungle, again you are say describing various problems which are there, in this say samsara. Similarly, Kupa, you don't know where you are in that Ajnana, you can't come out, you don't see anything. So you are stuck there. So that is what is the characteristic of a Kupa. So, but here, we are supposed to know as to what are the roots, what are the branches, what is the trunk. So he is going to give a total picture. So all this is basically to see how futile this thing is, and then a sense of vairagya has to be generated in the mind of the seeker. So that is the idea of Lord Krishna. So this 1 to 3 are about the tree. In that fourth, then say he tells the people who cross over, how they, once you cross over and then once you break this particular tree, then you are, say you will never come back into this samsara. And then from this fifth shloka onwards, from this fourth and fifth, that is how to break or wreck this samsara, this tree called samsara. Then right from sixth shloka, almost to 20th shloka, this description of the Supreme. 6th shloka up to 19th, let us say. 19th up to that 19th shloka, about the description of that Supreme Being, in what manner that is Supreme, etc., etc. And with reference to what? With reference to what? We see in verse number 16. If you see the verse number 16, it tells two words, Kshara and Akshara. These two words are not new to us. We have come across these words earlier also. Dvavimau purushau loke ksharascha aksharayevacha ksharas sarvani bhutani kutastaha akshara uchyate. So there are two words which are used there. There is one thing called kshara and another thing called akshara. Normally in Vedanta, the term Akshara refers to the Supreme Being. The term Akshara normally refers to the Supreme Being. But in this context, it does not refer to the Supreme Being, it refers to that Avyakta. It refers to that Avyakta. Shara refers to this Vyakta. Shara refers to Vyakta, that is the manifest universe. Avyakta refers to, say this Akshara refers to this Avyakta. And then beyond these Akshara and Shara and Akshara is that Supreme Being called Parapurushottama. There is no being or there is no body or anything like that. That is a Tattvam. That is something called consciousness. That Supreme Consciousness, that is called that Paramatma, Parabrahma, Purushottama. All these are synonyms. So this Akshara, we have to be very clear about it, because in almost all other contexts, the word Akshara means the Supreme Being. We have seen in various the other Upanishads also. And then what is that? There is a line in Brihadaranyaka which says, Yo va etadaksharam gargi abhiditva asmal lokat praiti. So it says, so the one who does not, as long as he stays here, he wastes his time and he does not realize this Akshara. So this fellow, he has wasted his time. Sakrupanaha, it says, Yo va etadaksharam gargi abhiditva, not knowing this thing, he has wasted his time. Asmal lokat praiti, and he departs from this world. Sakrupanaha, he is a very, very pitiable fellow. So that is what that says. So in that context, that Aksharam there refers to the Supreme Brahman. But here, in this particular context, we have to note that Akshara is referring to that, Avyakta or Mayavachana Chaitanya. There is slight, very, very slight difference depending on the point of view. So Uttama Purusha is Uttama Purusha Swanyaha, that is the Vilakshana. It is distinct from these two, and these two have their substratum in that Supreme Brahma. These are manifestations in that Supreme Brahma. So this is the way in which again the chapter goes on, right from 6th shloka right up to 19th shloka. So this description of the Supreme Being is there. And this 20th shloka, of course, iti guhyatamam shastram. This is the phalashruti. What happens? Etad buddhva buddhiman syat pratakrutyasya bharata. Thereafter, the jnani say there is nothing for him, nothing more for him. Pratakrutyah. There is nothing more for him to do. So that is what it says. So this is how this shloka, this adhyaya is structured. So I think we can now start off with the first shloka. There is a small avatarika for this first shloka. Shankaracharya is giving the introduction, or rather the perspective, that is the continuity with the earlier chapter. Yasman madadhinam karminam karmaphalam.
Yasman madadhinam karminam karmaphalam.
Jnaninam cha jnanaphalam.
Jnaninam cha jnanaphalam.
Ato bhakti yogena maam ye sevante.
Ato bhakti yogena maam ye sevante.
Te matprasadad jnana prapti kramena.
Te matprasadat jnana prapti kramena.
Gunatitaha moksham gachanti.
Gunatitaha moksham gachanti.
Kimu vaktavyam. Atmanas tattvameva. Samyak vijanantaha. Ityataha Bhagavan. Arjunena apruštamapi. Atmanaha tattvam vivakshuhu uvacha. Urdhvamulam ityadi. Okay. So this sentence says, Yasmat madadhinam karminam karmaphalam jnaninam cha jnanaphalam. So the earlier chapter was saying that yo mam bhakti yogena avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate, etc., etc. That person who not exactly worships, who knows me through that bhakti yoga, that nishkama bhakti and ananya bhakti, from that in that level, one who does upasana of me, because my yasmat madadhinam karminam karma phalam means this karma phalam of this karmi means the person who is in this karma path. Karma phalam is that fruit of that karma. That is again madadhinam means ishwaradhinam. Ishvara means here we are referring to Mat, Maya Vachana Chaitanya, Ishvara level we are referring to. Because It is this Ishvara only who is in charge of all this worldly, this universal order, isn't it? So that is why Madadhinam here, this Mat, the meaning of Mat is Ishvara. Madadhinam karminam karma phalam, jnaninam cha jnana phalam. So therefore, bhakti yogena mam ye sevante, those who worship me or those who do upasana of me with that ananya bhakti, those people, mat prasadat, means by my grace, jnana prapti kramena. So this grace is in the form of jnana prapti. You see, ultimately this jnana prapti is something which we should not forget. You may do bhakti, but then that bhakti will lead you to jnana. That particular point, jnana is always there. So jnana prapti kramena gunatitaha moksham gachanti. So that guna, they also they go beyond this gunatitaha. So that is what was told in the last chapter, moksham gachanti. Then what to talk of? Kimu vaktavyam. Kimu vaktavyam is what to talk of? Atmanaha tattvameva samyak vijanantaka. What to talk of those who very well know the very nature of this Atma. So the point is, even those who worship me or do upasana of me through that ananya bhakti, because of that bhakti and because of my grace, they attain jnana, and through that jnana, that is krama, jnana prapti kramena, it is krama mukti. Jnana prapti kramena, they do attain me. What to talk of those who already have jnana, who already have samyak jnana? So that is it. In fact, we saw that tesham aham samudharta, for a bhakti, I am the one who lifts them. Then the other people are jnani, te prapnuvanti mameva, they come to me on their own. So it is a tougher path, but the fellow is capable of climbing that Everest, whereas these people have to be taken up by some helicopter or something. So like that. So kimu vakta samyak vijayanantaha ityataha Bhagavan ityataha. With that idea in mind, Bhagavan, Lord Krishna, Arjunena aprushtam though it has not been asked by Arjuna. Arjunena aprushtam pruchati. Na aprushtam Atmanaha tattvam vivakshuhu uvacha. He wanted to disclose his tattvam. He wanted to disclose his nature, that swarupa. His means, here of course we are referring to Krishna. Krishna is now being referred as that supreme being. So that supreme tattvam, in order to reveal that supreme tattvam to Arjuna, he has started saying this, though Arjuna has not put any question in this regard. So that is the point. Tatra tavad vruksharupa kalpanaya vairagya hetoho samsara swarupam varnayati viraktasya hi samsarat bhagavat tattvajnane adhikaraha nanyasya iti. Okay. So tatra tavat. Tatra means in this chapter. Tatra is there. Tatra means in this chapter. Adhyaya. In this adhyaya. Tatra tavat. Vruksha rupa kalpanaya. By adopting this metaphor, by adopting this image, kalpana. Kalpana is visualization. By visualizing this thing called vruksha. Vruksha rupa kalpanaya. Vairagya hetoho samsara swarupam varnayati. Samsara swarupam varnayati. He, Lord Krishna, is describing this samsara swarupa, the nature of this samsara. For what? Vairagya hetoho. In order to generate vairagya in the mind of the seeker. So from that point of view, he is telling this, he is giving this image called Vriksha. Then Viraktasya hi samsara, because it is only when a person is Virakta, then he attains that eligibility to go for or seek this Brahmagyana. Until this fellow has got that Virakti, he has no eligibility to seek that Brahmagyana. So Viraktasya hi samsarat, it is only for that man who has undergone that internal change, who has undergone that internal transformation, who has attained that Chitta Shuddhi, and then because of Chitta Shuddhi and Viveka he has got Vairagya. Only such person, Bhagavatah Tattvajnane Adhikaraha, only for him. Then na anyasya, not for others. Iti urdhva moolam iti. Let us read the shloka. Urdhva moolam adhasyakham ashvattham prahuravyayam chandamsi yasya parnani
छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि
Yastam Veda Savedavit.
यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्.
So this Urdhva Moolam Adhashakham iti ahuhu. This is Urdhva Moolam Adhashakham Ruksham iti ahuhu. All these words are in Dvitiya Vibhakti. If you see that old original Kathopanishad, Urdhva Moolo Avak Shakha Yesho Ashvatha Sanatana, they are all in Pumlinga because Vruksha is in Pumlinga. Here also Vruksha is in Pumlinga only. Ramam like that, Dvitiya Vibhakti, Urdhva Moolam Vruksham Ahuhu, Ashvatham Ahuhu, Adhashakham Ahuhu. So like that, this is all in Dvitiya Vibhakti. So that is why Makara is there. This Urdhva Moolam means the Moolam, the root of which is above. Above, what is the meaning of above? Above means something which is the Karanam, which is the cause. Karanam is above and Karya, the derivative is below, isn't it? Urdhva Moolam. So that is one meaning. Another meaning that is told here by the commentators is Urdhva, this is something which is avyakta, not known. You see, when you look at a tree, you see only the trunk and above, isn't it? Trunk, branches, leaves, fruits, etc. You don't see the root. Root is something which is unseen. So similarly here, Urdhva Moolam, this root is unseen. This root which is there up above in that avyakta, it is something which is unseen. You are only seeing the trunk. From that trunk there are so many branches which have branched off, and those branches there are so many small sub branches and some small twigs, and then on the big leaves, and then there are some flowers, there are some fruits, and then there are some say along that trunk there are so many holes. There you see, when you see huge trees, there will be some small holes also in that trunk. So like that there are some holes in that trunk, and there is a big description of the tree when we see the Bhashyam. So here Urdhva Moolam. So Urdhvam is something which is unseen, but that is Karanam also. And that is also Utkrushtam, that is something which is great, Urdhva. Then Adhashakham means that which is having all the branches downwards. Adhaha means downwards. Adhashakham. Then Ashvatham, the meaning of Ashvatha we learnt in Kathopanishad. What is that? Ashvatham means na shvaha tishtati iti ashvatham. Shvaha means tomorrow. Na shvaha tishtati. It will not be there tomorrow. Tomorrow means not exactly tomorrow morning, but it is not there in the next moment. Next moment means what next moment? After you attain Jnana. The moment you attain Jnana, the very next moment the tree is not there. The very moment you attain Jnana, the very next moment it is not there. So that is why it is called Ashvatham. But so long as you don't have Jnana, it is so firm, it is so entrenched in our minds, it is so much engaging us, it is so much dragging us. So that is the Ashvatham. Ashvatham Prahuhu. Prahuhu means people say. It is in the Bahuvachana, Prahuhu, people say. Pra plus Ahuhu. Ahuhu. Pra is only Upasarga. Prahuhu. Avyayam. Avyayam means Navyeti. That is something which is permanent. What type of permanence is it? It is not something permanent, something like say Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Brahma. It is not permanent in that sense. It is Sapekshika Nityatvam. Sapekshika means relative Nityatvam. That is with respect to an ant which lives for a couple of days. Maybe we do not know the life of an ant. Let us say a mosquito, let us take. Mosquito lives for 2 hours. 2 days maybe. With respect to a mosquito, a slightly bigger animal, something like a frog is Nitya. With reference to frog, a dog is Nitya. With reference to dog, we are more Nitya. With reference to us, maybe some tortoise or something which lives for 200 years is more Nitya. And with reference to that, something else is more Nitya. With reference to all this, the earth itself is more Nitya because it will stay for a few million years. So Nitya is something which is Sapekshika, that is relative. So when we talk about Nityatvam of this world, we are talking it we are using the word in a relative sense and not in an absolute sense. So this Pravaha Nityatvam also we say, this river keeps on flowing and then it is called Nitya. But then the river, the water is never the same. The very next minute the water is different. So that is why they say you don't take bath in the same river twice. That is what they say. You are there only, but then the river is changing. Pravaha, but then it is Nitya. Pravaha Nitya. So that sort of Nityatvam. And if you see these two words, On one hand you are saying Ashwatham, the other hand you are saying Avyayam. So on one hand you are saying it is very, very ephemeral, it is just not there, and on the other hand you are saying it is eternal. What is this? So as we just discussed, this disappears when you realize your own the nature of yourself. Then this Ashwatha itself disappears. Then this whole drama disappears. So that is what it means. Ashwatha. This is otherwise it looks like a riddle. On one hand you are saying it is Ashwatha, and on the other hand you are saying Avyaya. So it is something like it is an oxymoron. In English we call it an oxymoron. It is a paradoxical statement. Then Chandamsi Yasya Parnani. And the Parnani, Parnam means leaf. Parnani, leaves, Chandamsi. Chanda means the Vedas. All these Vedas, they are the Parnani. Chadana, of course, Shankaracharya is going to explain the etymological meaning of that. So, Chandas. Then, Yas Tam Veda, Sa Vedavit. Yaha Tam Veda. The one who knows that, tree, he is the Vedavit. Means he has known the sum and substance of the Veda. The A to Z of Veda, this man has learnt. So, once you understand the nature of the samsara, the tree called samsara, and once you understand the ephemeral nature of this samsara, then you have understood the meaning of the Veda. So that is what it means. Is this shloka clear?
Yes.
Let us see the bhashyam. Urdhva moolam kalataha sukshmatvat karanatvat nityatvat mahatvatcha urdhvam uchyate brahma avyaktam. Let me see what is this. Avyakta maya shakti nimittam. Let me see. Avyakta maya shaktimat. Tat moolam asya iti. Soyam samsara vrukshaha urdhva moolaha. Okay. So urdhva moolam. In what sense is it urdhvam? Kalataha sukshmatvat. From the perspective of time, from the point of view of time also, it is sukshma. Sukshma is subtle. Kalam, what is kalam? Kalam again is a manifestation in this creation only, isn't it? This kalam, when does kalam start? Only when there is somebody to reckon an incident, reckon an event. Only when there is somebody to reckon or note an event, then only kalam starts. Otherwise, in Shuddha Chaitanya, there is no kalam. Only in Maya, and in that Maya, when that Prathama Jiva forms, and then from that Prathama Jiva, something called, say, the 5 Tanmatras, and then 5 Tanmatras, the Indriyas and all these things, they come. And then Sukshma, the Sthula Bhutas, they also derive. So it is only then that there is what is called time. So that is why Shankaracharya says, Maya Kalpita Deshakala Kalana. That is what we see in Dakshinamurti Stotram. Maya Kalpita Deshakala Kalana. The whole calculation, Kalanam means calculation. The whole calculation of time, the reckoning of time, etc. is only, it is in this, after this manifestation of this Maya only. Then, Kalataha Sukshmatvat, Karanatvat, because this is the Karana. And then, Nityatvat, this is again Nitya, that is relative Nitya. Then Nityatvat, Mahatvacha, and this is Mahat. This Mahat is also, Mahat is
Mighty.
that Mahat normal meaning is mighty. That Mahat Tattva is that Hiranyagarbha Tattva. Mahat, in that when we say this Mahato Ahankaraha, that Hiranyagarbha Tattva. So that Hiranyagarbha Tattva, Mahatva cha urdhvam uchyate, because that is called, for all these reasons it is called urdhvam. Then Brahma avyakta maya shaktimat. Brahma, what is this thing? Brahma avyakta maya shaktimat. So that maya vachyannam, that maya shabalitam, maya vachyannam and maya shabalitam, they are one and the same. That particular Chaitanya is called that avyakta. This is otherwise called this is what is called Mahat. This is the same as Prakriti. Then Tat Moolam Asya iti Soyam Samsara Vrusha. Tat Moolam Asya, of this samsara, this is the Moolam, this is the root. What? This Maya Shabalita Brahma, this manifestation in that consciousness is that Moolam. Iti Samsara Vrusha Urdhva Moolaha. Then Shrutescha
Shrutescha
Urdhvamulo Vakshakha iti.
Urdhvamulo avakshakha iti.
So the Shrutescha, because of the other Shruti also. Urdhvamulaha avakshakha yesho ashvattha sanatanaha. It is that is what we saw in Kathopanishad. There also the words used are Ashvattha Sanatanaha. That again was an oxymoron. Ashvattha, it is the next moment it is going to die. Sanatana, it is permanent. It is always there. So similarly, here Ashvattham, Avyayam. So these two words are used here. Then Puranecha. Now he is quoting from Mahabharata. Which portion of Mahabharata? Your book? Ashwamedha Parva. Yeah, my book doesn't say. Okay, Avyakta Mula Prabhavaha.
Avyakta Mula Prabhavaha.
Tasyaivanugrahothitaha. Tasyaivanugrahothitaha. Buddhis Kandhamayaschaiva. Indriyantara Kotaraha. Mahabhuta Vishakhascha. Vishayaih Patravans-tatha. Dharma Supushpascha. Sukha Dukkha Phalodayah. Okay, we'll stop here. I will explain. Avyakta Mula Prabhavaha. This Moolam, here of course Ashwamedha Parva is clarifying what is this Moolam is. Avyaktam. Avyaktam or Maya, that is the Moolam. Avyakta Mula Prabhavaha means Avyaktam is the origin, the Prabhava. For a thing for which Avyaktam is the Prabhava is called Avyakta Mula Prabhavaha. That for which this Avyakta is the Moolam or Avyakta is the Prabhava or Janma Karanam, that is called Avyakta Mula Prabhavaha. Then Tasyaiva Anugrahena Uthitaha. Tasyaiva Anugrahothitaha means Tasyaiva Anugrahena. It is because of the Shakti. It is because of the Shakti of that Avyakta only this is arising. Uthitaha. Uthitaha means arisen. Tasyaiva anugrahothitaha means anugrahena. Because of the grace of that, because of the Shakti of that, this thing is appearing. That means because of that Maya Shakti, this whole world is appearing. This whole universe is appearing. Then Buddhis Kandhamayaschaiva. Buddhis Kandha. This Buddhi, Mahat, that cosmic intellect, as we call it, that cosmic mind or cosmic intellect, that is that Buddhi. That Buddhi is this Kandha. Because from that Buddhi only the activities of all beings go in various branches, various directions. So that Buddhi is supposed to be something like a trunk. Buddhi, whether it is a Vyashti Buddhi or whether it is a Samashti Buddhi, of course here we are talking about the Samashti Buddhi, in which of course Vyashti Buddhi also becomes a part. So the Samashti Buddhi, then again Buddhis Kandha, because of that Buddhi only various skandhas, various branches, they go out in various directions. Indriyantara Kotaraha. Kotara is some hollow in a tree. The hollow in a tree is called a Kotara. In Telugu we call it a Torra. So Kotara, of course, these Indriyas, the Indriya, the sense organ itself is not having any hole, but then the sense itself is not having any hole, but the sense organ is referred to as the holes. Navadvare Pure Dehi, we saw it. So these 7 holes in the head itself. In the head itself, there are 2 holes, 2 ears, the 2 holes in the eyes and the nostrils, there is a mouth, there are 7 holes. So these are all these are not sense organs. Some are sense and some are not. Of course, all these 4 are sense organs. Anyway, these 4 organs are covered. If you take the skin also, the 5 organs are also covered. So here, these are though the sense itself is not a whole, sense organs are usually referred to as the wholes. So that is why you call it a kotara or something like a hollow in a tree. So Indriyantara Kotaraha. Then Mahabhuta Vishakhascha. This Mahabhuta, this Prithvyadi Mahabhutas, these 5 elements which have come into existence, they are the Vishakha. Vividha Shakha. Vishakha means Vividha Shakha, several branches. Then Vishayaihi Patravans-tatha. Vishaya means various objectives, various sense objects, which are various objects which are there in the world, they are the Vishayas. That is, all these 5 senses are there. These five senses are derivatives of that Panchamahabhutas only. Not Panchamahabhutas, this Tanmatras. And then these are again related to these Panchamahabhutas. They perceive these five elements only. So these Vishayaha, these are like Patras. Patra means Vishayehi Patravan. Patra means the leaf. Of course, here in the original shloka, Chandamsi Yasya Parnani, here of course there is a slight difference in this Ashwamedha Parva. Probably Bhishma is telling somebody or somebody is telling someone. Okay, I'll verify the context tomorrow and then tell. Then Vishayehi Patravans Tatha Dharma Dharma Supushpascha. What are the flowers which are there? Dharma is one pushpa, the adharma is another pushpa. So all our activities which are there, which we do, they are because of the vasanas. And all these vasanas are in this buddhi. And this buddhi is generating various activities called dharma and adharma. These are like, say, pushpa. Then, what is the, say, transformation of this pushpa? This pushpa is getting transformed as the fruit. So, what are those fruits? Sukha, dukkha, phalodaya. When you are doing some dharma, you are getting sukha. When you are doing adharma, you are getting some dukkha. So, this happiness and misery depends on our own activities of dharma and adharma. Then, Ajivya Sarvabhutanam, let us read, Ajivya Sarvabhutanam Brahmavruksha Sanatanaha Etad Brahmavanam Chaiva Brahmacharati Nityashaha Etad Chitvacha Bhitvacha Jnanena Paramasina Tatashatmaratim Prapya Tasman Navartate Punaha Ityadi. And then this tree is Ajivyaha Sarvabhutanam. For all the beings. Sarvabhutanam means for all the beings. Ajivyaha. Ajivyaha means it is Upajivyaha. This is the source of strength. This becomes the source of livelihood. This is the source for this continuous, say, Deha Prapti and then Deha Pata, for all these things, for existence, for survival, for everything, this thing is this Vruksha or this Samsara is, it becomes the source of strength for all the Jivas. Then Brahma Vruksha Sanatana, it is also called Brahma Vruksha. This Brahma itself is appearing as this Vruksha, Sanatana. Sanatana again is, which is eternal. Again, relative eternality. Sanatana, Sadatana. Sanatana does not mean ancient. Sanatana means something which is always there. Sadatana, which is always there. Then this Brahmavanam, Etad Brahmavanam, Brahmavanam. Vanam, we have come across this word in Kenopanishad also. Tadvanam nama, tadvanam ityupasitavyam. Vanam. Vanam means bhajaniyam, something which is something which has to be known, something which has to be worshipped. Bhajaniyam. Vanam, the meaning of vanam is bhajaniyam, something which has to be praiseworthy, something which has to be known. Not merely praiseworthy, something which has to be known, which has to be properly understood. So that is Brahmavanam. Brahmavanam chaiva Brahma charati nityashaha. This Supreme Brahma charati nityashaha. In this Brahmavanam, this Brahma dwells. In this Brahmavanam, Brahma dwells means what does it mean? Brahma dwells in the form of this Vishwam also. Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaraha. If you see the very first words of Vishnu Sahasranama, Shankaracharya has written a very elaborate commentary on that, saying that this whole Vishwam is nothing but, whatever is Vishwam is nothing but Vishnu. Yad Vishwam sa Vishnuhu. So that is the summary, sum and substance of his commentary. So what is the whole manifest universe is nothing but, it is a manifestation of that Brahma only. So that is why Brahma charata nischata, nityashaha. Then this Vruksha itself is something like a sort of something which is in between you and the Brahma. So that is why this has to be broken. Though this Brahma himself is appearing as this, he is appearing not in his original form, he is appearing in a duplicate form. So this duplicate form has to be removed. This thing has to be removed, this thing has to be wrecked. So that is why etat chitvacha bhitvacha. Chitva, tear off, chedanam is tearing off, bhitva, breaking. Of course, maybe different weapons are used. Maybe for chitva, chedanam, you may use a knife. For bhedanam, you may use an axe, something like that. Chitvacha, bhitvacha. With what? Jnanena paramasina. Parama asina. Asi means sword. Parama asi means the greatest sword, supreme sword called Jnanam. With that supreme sword called Jnanam, you slash this, this whole samsara vriksha, let it disappear, let it go away. Then you see your own nature. This Brahma is appearing as this thing. He is not appearing in this original form. He is wearing some sort of, some apparel. So you break this whole apparel and then see the Brahma as such. See yourself as that Brahma. So tatascha atmaratim prapya. Atmaratihi. Atmaratihi, Atmakridaha, etc. We come across that word earlier. Atmaratihi means one who is dwelling in himself, one who is happy in himself. Ramanam, Atmani Ramanam Yasya, Saha Atmaratihi. Ramanam means Krida, Atmani Krida. That means he is aware, he is in that awareness, he is in that state of awareness. So that is Atmarati. Not that he is very happily inside and then yes, I am happy. That I notion is not there. So when I say I am happy and I am happy, that is not the statement of a Jnani. He is in that state of happiness, he is in that state of awareness of his own self. So that is Atmarati. Atmaratim prapya tasmat na avartate punaha. Na avartate means he does not come back into other state. He does not come back into other state of mind. And then at the moment he again assumes his I or something like that, then he is coming back. He is again coming back to the world. He is again coming back to the samsara. So this, he remains as a druk swarupa and not as a seer. He remains as a druk swarupa. So that is what is that Atmarati. Atmaratim prapya na avartate punaha. Na avartate means he does not come back. Come back to what? Come back to this vriksha. So you are in that vriksha, and in that vriksha you have to attain that jnana. And with that, the sword called jnana, you have to break that vriksha and then see yourself as that Brahman. So that is what it means. Then tam urdhvamulam samsaram mayamayam vruksham adhashakham mahadahankara tanmatradaya shakha asya adho bhavantiti soyam adhashakham. Okay. Tam urdhvamulam samsaram. That particular samsara which is having that urdhvamulam, which is having the, now he is also going to explain that that trunk and all that. That particular samsara which is having that urdhvamulam, that avyakta as its mulam, maya mayam, it is nothing but a construct. It is a construct of this maya, it is a construct of this prakriti or avyakta. Then vruksham adhashakham. And what are all these things? Mahad, ahankara, tanmatradaya. This mahat is that Hiranyagarbha Brahma. Ahankara, that the very first notion called I. The very first notion called I is the Mahad is called usually the cosmic intellect. And then in that cosmic intellect, the first notion of I is called the Hiranyagarbha, that I. And then this tanmatradaya, from that this prancha tanmatras have evolved. So these are all these shakhas. Shakha iva asya adho bhavanti. So from that origin of that ego, all these things have evolved. Then bhavanti iti soyam adhashakaha. This particular tree, soyam means saha ayam, that tree which is this. We are referring to the whole universe and also to yourself. Soyam adhashakaha. Tam adhashakham nashvopi sthata iti ashwatham. Okay, my book, it has merged all these letters. So that's nashvopi sthata iti ashwatham kshana pradvamsinam ashwatham prahuhu kathayanti. So this tree is called Ashwatha. Why? Nashvopi sthata. Na shvaha api sthata. Sthata means it will stay. Na sthata means it will not stay. Na shvaha api sthata. It will not stay till tomorrow. Tomorrow means till the time you attain jnana. So that is why it is called Ashwatham. Then Shana Pradvam Sinam. It breaks in a second. It breaks in a flash. Kshana pradvamsinam. This thing, it goes away, it disappears, it attains pradvamsa. Pradvamsa means total destruction, total annihilation. It is called pradvamsa. Prakarshena dvamsa, pra plus dvamsa. Pradvamsa is total destruction, annihilation is that. So Kshana pradvamsinam, in 1 second it gets disintegrated. So that is called Ashvatha, Prahuhu Kathayanti. Then Avyayam, Samsara Mayamayam, Anadikala Pravrittatvat, Soyam Samsara Vrukshah, Avyayaha, Anadi Ananta Dehadi Santanashrayah, He Suprasiddhaha, Tam Avyayam. Okay, this Avyayam is now being explained. Avyaya, the normal meaning is Navyeti, it doesn't perish, it doesn't decline. Then in what sense? Samsara Mayamayam. So this is called Samsara. Samsara means transmigration. So this transmigration is, that is the characteristic of this Vriksha. Then Anadikala Pravrittatvat. So Anadikala Pravritta. So we have seen that Vedanta talks about Jiva as Anadi, Prakriti as Anadi. We have come across the earlier chapter also, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhi Anadi Ubhavapi. Prakriti and Purusha both are Anadi. This is something Anadi means, you see, a person in this kalpa, in this particular srishti, is born with certain vasanas, and following that vasanas and following further impact on him, going to a teacher or something like that, he may go into a good path, or he may not go into a good path. So his karma is again dependent on the not karma, his future is dependent on what karmas he does in this life. So that means he takes up another birth. So this goes on and on and on. So when was the first birth? So that is the basic question. When was the first birth means there is no, you have to go back to the earlier kalpa. In that earlier kalpa, so he had done something, and then his, what is this Sukshma Sharira, that is there in Bija form, it is there in the seed form in that kalpa. In that kalpa also it is there in the seed form. Then what about that, the beginning of that thing? Another kalpa previous to that. So which means it is something which is Anadi. This is the beginning, you can't guess. So it is going on and on ever since that Maya is there, this samsara is there, this universe is there. So that is what it means. So Anadikala Pravrittatvat Sahayam Samsara Vrikshaha. This samsara or this transmigration, cycle of transmigration is going on and on and on. Otherwise, if you don't accept it, then you have to say that the Lord has created different people in different way, and then Lord has favored some people, Lord has not favored some people, and all that. So we have to accept that this is something which is Anadi. Sampravruttaha. Then Soyam Samsara Vrkshaha Avyayaha. Then Anadi Ananta Dehadi Santanashraya. So Ananta Dehadi Santana. So it is ashraya, or it is the shelter. It is the shelter for an endless series of the lives and deaths. An endless series of lives and deaths are going on in this particular vriksha. This samsana ashraya. He means suprasiddha. He means yasmat. That he is in the shloka. Yeah, Chandam Sesa Pranani Ashwatham Praharavyayam. Okay. Of course, it is not there in the shloka. It is in the Bhashya. He yasmat suprasiddha tam avyayam. That particular avyayam, that particular vriksha is called avyayam. Then tasyeva samsara vrikshasya idam anyad visheshanam chandamsi chadanat rug yajus sama lakshanani yasya samsara vrikshasya parnani iva parnani. So this parna means leaf. What are these leaves? Chandamsi. Asya samsara vrikshasya anyad visheshanam. Anyad visheshanam means one more attribute or one more adjective is being told about that samsara vriksha. What is that? Chandamsi yasya parnani. Chandamsi. The meaning of chandamsi is chadanat. Chadanam means covering, protecting this whole samsara. How is it protecting? Rug Yajus Sama Lakshanani. This we know that we have got 4 Vedas. Sometime in older texts, only 3 Vedas are mentioned. We know that Iti Vedas, Trayastrayi, Amarkosha says. Here also earlier we have come across 3. Probably the Atharva Veda was not mentioned because all the mantras of that Atharva Veda, they are all drawn from these 3 Vedas only. Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda only. From them only all the mantras of that Atharva Veda are drawn. So probably that is why Atharva Veda was not exclusively mentioned by older writers. So but anyway, how is it Chadanam? Doing this Chadanam. Chadanam is protecting. Because Vedas, they tell us what is the action, what are the activities which a person has to do. They guide us, okay, a human being, you have to do this. You have got a Nitya Karma, you have got some other Naimitika Karma, you have some other Kamya Karma, there is something called a prohibited Karma. So it tells about so many things. Vedas, as somebody said, it is something like a supermarket, we discussed it in the beginning. So Vedas, something like a supermarket, it tells about the whole regimen which a person has to follow. A human being has to follow. It tells about all that, what do you do and what are you going to get. If you do some good thing, you will get a good result. If you do some bad, you will get a bad result. So by telling about all this dharma, adharma, karma and all these things, it is protecting. It is covering, not merely covering, it is protecting the whole universe. Yasya samsara vrukshasya parnani iva parnani. Then yatha vrukshasya parirakshanaarthani parnani तथा वेदाः संसार वृक्ष परिरक्षणार्थाः धर्माधर्म तद हेतु फल प्रकाशनार्थत्वात्. Okay, so yatha, just what we just discussed here, yatha vrukshasya parirakshanaarthani parnani. Just as the leaves are meant for protecting the tree, vrukshasya parirakshanaarthani. Artha means the purpose. The purpose of these leaves is to protect. Of course, in science we know that these trees, the leaves, there is what is called a photosynthesis, and then the trees, they get their food from these leaves. That is what we now know. But then, of course, olden days also they are not very far from the mark. So they say, vrukshasya parirakshanaarthani parnani. You take away all the leaves, the tree will die off. So it is they are there to protect. They are there to protect the tree. So likewise, Vedaha samsara vruksha parirakshanaarthaha. They are there for protecting this vruksha, this samsara vruksha. How? As we said, dharma tad hetu phala prakashanarthatvat. It is telling about what is dharma, it is telling about adharma, then tad hetu. Hetu means the cause. What is the say dharma, what does it cause? Adharma, what does it cause? And what are the phalam which you are going to get? Phala prakashanam. Prakashanam is highlighting. Prakashanam is highlighting, explaining, highlighting, illustrating. All the thing is prakashanarthatvat. So the purpose of the Vedas is to illustrate the good and bad effects of the dharma and adharma deeds and direct us in the right path. Then yatha vyakhyatam samsara vruksham samulam yaha tam veda sa vedavit vedartha vid ityarthaha. Okay, this yatha vyakhyatam, that is, this samsara vruksha as has been explained. Yatha vyakhyatam means as it has been explained. Yatha vyakhyatam samsara vruksham samulam, along with the root. Along with the root means what is the root? Root is that avyakta or maya. So samulam means maya sahitam. You have to get rid of that maya. So that is it. Maya sahitam. Yaha tam veda, the one who knows. It is only when you know what is maya, then you can come out of it. So yaha tam veda, sa vedavit, vedarthavit. So not merely vedavit, but he is vedarthavit. A Veda Pandit whom we see in the temple may be a Vedavit. He might have learnt Veda by rote. But of course Vedavit does not refer to our Ghanapatis. Vedavit refers to a person who has understood the meaning of the Veda, the import of the Veda. So that is what it is. Vedarthavit ityarthaha. nahi samsara vrukshad asmat
नहि संसारवृक्षात् अस्मात्
समूलात् ज्ञेयो समूलात् ज्ञेयः अन्यः
समूलात् ज्ञेयः अन्यः
अणुमात्रोऽपि
अणुमात्रोऽपि
अवशिष्टः अस्ति
अस्ति
अतः सर्वज्ञः स यः वेदार्थविदिति समूलवृक्षज्ञानं स्तौति. So in this chapter, in this shloka, Samoola Vriksha Jnanam is praised. Samoola Vriksha Jnanam is the knowledge of the tree along with its root. Where root means Maya. So the structure of the tree is described, and the root, what is the root, that also has been described. Then here the sentence is Nahi samsara vrukshadasmat samoolat. So apart from this samsara vrukshad anyat, that is anyaha, that is something other than this thing. There is nothing other to be known. There is nothing else to be known. Samsara vrukshadasmat samoolat means along with the moolam called Maya. Jneyaha anyaha anumatram apyasti. There is nothing else which is a jneyam. Jneyam means which has to be known, which has to be realized by the seeker. There is nothing else which is beyond this. Anumatraha api avashishtaha asti. There is nothing which is remaining. Avashishta means remaining. Avashishta means remaining. There is nothing which remains. If you know this samsara vruksha, if you know its moolam, that is called Maya, then there is nothing else which is remaining. Therefore, once you know that, you become a sarvajna. Ataha sarvajnaha. Sarvajna means the person who knows this he can be called a sarvajna, and he is the vedarthavit iti samoola vriksha jnanam stauti. The knowledge of that vruksham along with its moolam is praised in this particular shloka. Then tasyaiva samsara vrukshasya what is this? Aparavayava kalpana uchyate. Okay, apara avayava kalpana uchyate. So tasyaiva samsara vrukshasya, of the same vruksha which is called samsara, another kalpana, apara. Then further avayava kalpana means visualizing of all its limbs. Visualizing of all its limbs. Avayava is limb, kalpana is visualizing. That visualization of all the limbs is being done. Adhasya moolanyanusantatani. Sorry, where is this first line? Adhasyordhvam prasrutastasya shakha.
Adhasyordhvam prasrutastasya shakha.
Guna pravruddha vishaya pravalaha. Adhasya moolanyanusantatani. Karmanubandhini manushya loke. So we'll just read the broadly to know the meaning, and then the time is over. Adhasya urdhvam prasutaha tasya shakhaha. Tasya shakhaha, of that samsara vruksha, the branches. Adhasya urdhvam, up and down. Adhasya, up above and also toward downwards. Prasrutaha means vistirnaha, they are spread out. Prasrutaha. Guna pravruddhaha vishaya pravalaha. Then how are they, in what manner? Gunaihi, three gunaihi pravruddhaha. This sattva, rajas, tamo guna. These gunas, they are causing this spread of this activity. The spread of these, the branches. Then vishaya pravalaha. This vishaya, the objects, the sense objects, all these things, they are the pravala. Pravala means the small twigs which are there. You take a branch, there are some sub branches, and from that sub branches there are again some small small twigs come out. So they are called the pravalas. Some tender leaves, they are the pravalas. Then adhasya moolani anusantatani. Then this is again moolani, the roots of this samsara vruksha. Adhasya api anusantatani, even down below they are coming. And how are they anusantatani? Anusantatani means they are spread out. Karmanubandhini. Karmanubandhini means depending on your karma, depending on the karma in this manushya loka. Because manushya loka is the place where a person is having that entitlement to do karma. There is no other loka where a person can do karma. It is only in manushya loka. It is called the karma bhumi. So in this karma bhumi only a person is having a chance to do good or bad deeds. So depending on that, karmanubandhini మూలాని అనుసంతతాని. సో దిస్ విల్ రీడ్ ఇన్ ది నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్. ఓం పూర్ణమదః పూర్ణమిదం పూర్ణాత్ పూర్ణముదచ్యతే పూర్ణస్య పూర్ణమాదాయ పూర్ణమేవావశిష్యతే. ఓం శాంతి శాంతి శాంతి.